Hello and welcome to Weird Heat. That's what we're calling it. I know. We'll explain. I'm Brian Altano and this is my best friend, Max Scoville.
Hello.
Max and I have been making shows together for a very long time, and I really, really like doing that. It's been really fun, but I think one of the things we've realized over the years of making shows is that a lot of our subject matter is incredibly scattershot. We sit down and we do stuff like Up at Noon or Podcast Beyond or The Comedy Button, and every single episode is like 700 things in one thing.
Yeah, and it's all piggybacking off of something else.
Yeah.
It all has to be sort of hashtag existing IP or SEO optimized for some existing franchise, and that gets old, you know.
It gets it gets thick.
Yeah, things get sort of familiar. Familiarity breeds contempt.
Mm-hmm. We've been doing the Comedy Button for 6 years now, and the Comedy Button is sort of the spiritual successor to the GameSpider Briefings, which was a show that rose from the ashes of like an old PC gaming podcast that was hosted by GameSpy, which was a small subsidiary owned by IGN. So that's a walk to do something
and
new.
it says comedy in the title, but half the time we're talking about like people dying or wanting to kill ourselves or something. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of weird to not have really a thesis statement or a clear idea of what we're doing. We want to do something that we have a clear idea about.
Yeah.
We've been talking about doing this for a while now. We've been talking about this for probably well over a year at this point.
Yeah.
It's shifted. It's taken many shapes. It's turned into different things. But honestly, we need to fucking do it.
Yep.
Get it out in the road, and then we can change the tires when it's already rolling.
I've said this recently on a show, but making something is liberating and finishing something is terrifying. Mm-hmm. It's so easy to sit down as an artist and be like, I have an idea for something. That is the most inspiring moment that you can have as a creator. But actually dragging it to the finish line, shackling it to your wrist and running across that line is fucking impossible.
Well, it's also not even, I mean, I think it's weird to see stuff like, to see video games that get updated with a patch, or to see, I don't know, Star Wars that gets scenes added 25 years later. Mm-hmm. And it's odd that there's that precedent set for people going back and tweaking stuff. When you look at, I don't know, there's that mentality that you get in like a life drawing class where put something on the paper, you've got a time limit, get it done, finish it. Just ship it, put it up on the wall, put it up there. So we want to do something like that. If that sounds incredibly strange and obtuse, well, I guess what we're getting at here is that this is going to be a show about art.
Yeah. This is going to be about sort of the human interaction with creating stuff and making stuff and surviving through that, therapeutically, creatively, every single side of that. And so what we want to do with Weird Heat is we want to make a brand new thing. And that thing is effectively an excuse to make art, to make music, and to make shows. And our shows, we want to be sort of based on a single theme each time. So every episode will sort of be like, here's one about depression. Mm-hmm. Here's one about fighting. Here's one about Thanksgiving. Yeah, here's one about dads.
Or candy, you know? I think of the fact that there's this kind of... I mean, this show is a prompt. This show is a prompt for us, but we want to invite other people to kind of join us and partake in us making things. This is also an excuse for us to work on painting and music and writing and just we've called it a lot of different things over the year and change that we've been talking about this, but I think that a virtual studio is a good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you see the term studio thrown around in terms of kind of online, in terms of like either it's a business like a video game studio, or it's a piece of software like, you know, Photoshop. But really, the idea of a studio as being a place where things get made in a more nebulous sense. Like there are no physical walls here. I mean, we're in my house, but like we want to kind of invite people to kind of come along with us as we're doing this stuff and you know, be part of the sort of the creative process. If that means like suggesting ideas of stuff we should talk about, or stuff we should draw, or make songs about, or make movies about, or whatever the fuck it is we're doing exactly, it's kind of nice to have that assignment, you know?
Yeah. And also we want to turn that assignment back on you if you are creative, you know, to sort of say like, this is the theme Max and Brian are going with this month. And that sort of feels like my assignment as well. So like if we pick something about traveling and that's our theme, I'm going to make a song based on that theme. Max is going to make some art based on that theme. We're going to make a show together based on that theme, and you will be able to enjoy it or react in your own way to that theme. We also want to use it as sort of as an excuse to launch a t-shirt store and to basically put out an album every year, because there'll be 12 songs, you know, to sell prints, for Max to give me an idea for a song, or for me to give Max an idea for art, or for us to all collaborate in unison on something weird and strange and different. And so I guess that's where the name Weird Heat comes from.
Yeah, the kind of thing I kept kind of coming back on was that creativity on a very like fundamental biological level most of the time doesn't make any fucking sense. It is like in kind of an evolutionary sense, it's sort of a crazy person thing to do. You know, like there's that mentality of like I don't know, in like a movie when they go in and like, oh, you see this guy's lost his mind, and you go in and he's got like the bulletin board with the strings coming out of it, or he's like drawing like spirals on the wall, and you're like, wow, he's gone totally crazy. Meanwhile, the whole concept of sort of entertainment, of making music, of making art, of making, you know, anything that isn't, you don't need it to survive, but it's a thing that human beings compulsively do. Yeah. The idea that buildings aren't strictly functional, that there's a level of like aesthetic, you know, enjoyment there. I don't know. Why do we do that? I don't know why we do that. It's a thing that you can. There's something in the human brain that's just a tiny bit off that leads to that. And
that's a good way of putting it, because I think that like the creative process is something that at times we've referred to as kind of like a curse, right? Like we feel like we have to do it. There's something inside us that's intrinsically saying like drag this stuff out and get it out there. But we want to open up that process to you, whether or not you are creative, because I think if you're not, you'll find something interesting or funny or sharp or therapeutic or cool about what we're trying to make. And if you are artistic, maybe we can help inspire you, or maybe we can help you get your own work out there even more. So we want this to grow, and we want it to change, and we need your help. And we're going to make it no matter what. So
yeah. It's honestly, I think if 3 people are tweeting at us going, hey, where's that thing you said you were doing? That's an excuse for us to finish it. But when it's just the 2 of us being like, hey, I'm working on this painting, I'm working on this song, it's going to go back and forth forever, and we never finish it, you know? And it is that kind of that mentality of just, you've got the time limit, put the thing on the paper and put it up on the wall. Like, just get it out there and finish it. We both love cooking. I think cooking is great because it's like, you have to finish it. Yep. Nobody like starts a meal and they're like, I'm just not feeling it today, I'm going to come back to it later. Like there's like a built-in kind of, you know, deadline there.
As they've said on Curb Your Enthusiasm, you can't pause toast.
Yeah. Exactly. But I mean, I have so many unfinished projects and so many things that just don't get done. They just kind of, they sit there. They're in kind of in limbo. And I don't know, it's nice to put something out there, and no matter what it is, I'll notice shit wrong with it that I hate, and stuff that I want to go back and fix, and things that I want to improve upon. And I think that's it. Those things I won't notice those things until they're out there, you know. And we've gotten really good about, like, I mean, we make shows every week. We put them out there, you know, warts and all, and people sometimes like them, sometimes they hate them. But there's a growth there, you know. Warts and all. So Weird Heat, it's not a tumor.
Weird Heat is a box for us to put our creativity into, and that means that every single month we will put out shows, we will put out music, and we will put out art, and we will give that to you, and we will sometimes turn that music into a score for something, or a part of a bigger musical project, or we'll turn that art into a t-shirt or a poster you can buy. We want to basically just get back to the roots of who we are as weird, like, fucked up art school kids, and get back to creating stuff again. So
yeah, I think there's a lot of ways you could look at this. You could look at this as like the big sort of like pie in the sky idea of, oh man, we're creating a studio without walls, which admittedly, so much of this stuff sounds so fucking up its own ass, and so hippy dippy. So apologies for that. Also, we're shooting this in black and white if you're watching the video, just because it's like less to color correct, and we're not going to look like orange.
It's artsy.
It's kind of it's tasteful. But no, at one point the way we described this was like, oh, it's like a loot crate, and every month there's a new themed concept. It's full, but instead of it being like a, you know, like a Funko Pop and a T-shirt that doesn't fit right and a keychain you're going to lose, it's a song and a painting and a poem or something, like whatever it is. but then we're like, oh yeah, we're pitching art as a subscription box. Like that's sort of weird too. But I think it's the idea of just sort of that appeal of finding something new and something that you haven't seen before. And there's so much sort of familiarity. And like, I think we all have this thing where you have your apps you check or the website you go to every day or whatever it is. There's that feeling of getting a new thing, that sort of advent calendar, open the little box and find the thing inside mentality. And all too often it's sort of, I don't know, maybe it's sort of disappointing, like people need things to look forward to. Mm-hmm. So I want to just put stuff out there that maybe you don't know what it is at all. It's a complete mystery. It's not like, oh, here's something you like. Here's something you don't know what it is. I mean, it's something that comes from us, maybe somebody else, but I don't know. We're going to do this through Patreon. So if you head over to patreon.com/weirdheat, you can kick us $1 or whatever. Again, we're sort of just getting this out the door. We're putting it out there. We're going to be doing this as an audio podcast. Yep. It's on iTunes once we figure that out.
Yep.
I think we're going to be testing it with this episode. Yeah. Yep. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on SoundCloud. We got that one. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're on Tumblr. I'm just not even counting. I'm just going like this.
Facebook,
I'm going back and forth between two fingers. But yeah, we're Weird Heat Studios on Facebook. And yeah, I don't know. It feels weird. This is the world's worst elevator pitch.
Yeah,
you're stuck in the elevator broke, and you're stuck in here with us, and it's very hot.
It's long and rambling.
There's a weird heat in this elevator.
Yeah, and we don't want to sort of like paywall anything. Like we want our Patreon to sort of be like a tip box, like sort of a suggestion box. Like if you love what we're doing or what we've been doing for a very long time, we've been putting out shows for free all over the place, and you want to kick a little back and kind of say, hey, you guys are doing okay, keep going. Yeah. Then that's what we want to help you guys with. And so if you're creative, I think you're really going to love this. If you're not creative at all and you want another thing with us rambling in, like, we're going to be there too.
Yeah, we're still going to get weird and stupid. We're still going to get deep cut and emotional. And I mean, we're not going to like exclude pop culture stuff, but I think that the idea here is that so often things are sort of piggybacking on pop culture, like it really fucks me up that, like, I don't know, you watch a movie like Super 8 or something, where it's a movie about it's about kids. They have access to a camera and they can go out and they can make movies about anything, and they're making like models and they make these incredible films. And there's this like mentality of like, oh yeah, you just create this thing, be a creative weird kid. You watch like the show Home Movies, it's like the same mentality, and everybody has a video camera in their pocket and they can make movies. And people are just putting up videos of them reacting to movies. Mm-hmm. It's like the idea of like, hey, here's my review. Here's my summary. Here's the 11 things wrong with. And we do that for a living. And I'm not trying to knock it, but at the same time,
it's a good hustle, and people need it.
There's a Frank Zappa quote about how there's two ways the world can end. And people always think it's fire or ice, but it could also be paperwork, there's too much bureaucracy, or nostalgia, where people become so tangled up in looking backwards that they don't go anywhere, and honestly, if it's kind of fucked up. If you actually dig into history, there are cultures that just kind of were so like, why change it? It's fine, nothing's wrong here. And then there's like 1,000-year stretch where it's just the same thing, and it's very samey. And I think it's terrifying. We're seeing this with pop culture in general, where everything gets a sequel or a reboot or a remake or a reimagining or an adaptation or and it's sort of like, well, who's making new shit? And obviously you want that comfort food. You want that stuff that you have a connection to, but that sense of being an explorer and going out and digging through, whether it's going to an art gallery or digging through a box of records or going to a comic shop and reading something you've never heard of before. I worry about that mindset dying out.
I totally agree. And so if you love our art and you love our music and you love our shows, we want to give you more of all of that. And we want to give you more of all of that every single month, and more, with more regularity. Because I think that's the one thing right now, is that there's that sort of nebulous idea of like, Max could sit down and draw, but where does it go? Mm-hmm. And when does it come out? And Brian made a new song, but like, how do you put out one song? Like, because my stupid brain's like, it's got to be an album. It's got to be part of a bigger picture, part of a project. And so this sort of gets all of that stuff into one place. And we just want to bring you more cool shit that we're making, because life is short and fleeting, and making stuff is awesome, and it helps us and it'll help you. And so help us make it. So we'll be on Patreon. So go to patreon.com/weirdheat. I believe that's what we set up. If we haven't, then now's our chance.
We have to reshoot the video if we didn't get the URL right. I think
Put some
that's
robot
it.
voice in there.
We are Weird Heat on Twitter, on Tumblr, on Instagram, on SoundCloud. We are on storeenvy.com/weirdheat, I think, or something like that. We'll put up the link to the store. You can go buy a shirt with a picture of a thing on it, whatever. We drew some stuff and put it out there. We'll, I don't know how anyone tracks anything in 2018 anymore. I feel like everyone's got their selected apps that you kind of, funnel all your information through. But we're on as many things as we could figure out. If there's something we're not on, let us know. You can shoot us an email, one of those antiquated old things, which is just weirdheat@gmail.com. And I think we got weirdheat.com too. Did we get that? We got that.
I think so.
So this is exactly how it's coming together. We're a couple of scatterbrained art kids, and we're kind of getting back into the habit of making stuff, and we want your help to do that. So this is Weird Heat. Welcome aboard, and let's really get that elevator pitch down to maybe like a crisp 7 minutes.
We'll get it. We'll tighten it up.
Yeah.
Right now we're getting there. This is episode 0.
Yeah.
By 1 we're gonna see. This is the process, man. We're just getting it to get. I think that was good.
All right. I hope it recorded. I think it did.
I think everyone's gonna be really excited about it.
The audio is probably shit, but we're working on it.
You think so?
I don't know. Let's find out.
I think it's gonna be just good enough.
Oh boy. Okay.